A number of years ago, I sat with a group of leaders. Leaders taken from very different parts of industry and education, really leadership from across the board. And the first thing they asked us to do was to put everything down on the table, disconnect from our mobile phones, and then they said to us, right, please stand up, notice where you are. Where are we? Close your eyes and you think, oh, really? Do I want to play along with this? And they asked a very simple question. We would like you now to, with your eyes closed, point to the North Pole. And all of us did. And then we opened our eyes. We knew where we had been standing. And of those group of leaders, as we opened our eyes and looked around the room with our arms still outstretched and pointing, here was the conclusion of the exercise. No two people pointed in exactly the same direction. So we didn't know where the North Pole was. We thought we knew where we were, but a fixed point of reference, we couldn't agree where it would be. Of course, that goes on further because, as you understand just a little bit of geography, the whole thing about the North Pole is there's also magnetic north, which is not the North Pole, is close to the North Pole, and interestingly moves. So when we take a natural compass and point it, and magnetism does its thing, it varies, it changes. Now if we don't know where we are, and we don't know where we're looking, we will never know where we're going or how to get there. And right now, in these days, many Christians are celebrating 40 days of Easter. And one thing that Christians claim that happened during Easter was that Jesus Christ, and we would have to get to know who he is resurrected from the dead. Just a few things to say about that. It is not simply because some people say, well, nobody's ever come back from the dead. That actually isn't true. It's just not true historically. But the resurrection of Jesus is more than somebody coming back from the dead. Resurrection is it's a slightly funny word. But what it means is very simple, to stand up straight. And in these days, many people are feeling the pressure. They are feeling weighed down. They're being bent over, often by circumstance, often by loss, of course, sometimes through death itself, and the opportunity that wasn't there to say goodbye. So, if Jesus Christ is risen from the dead, if he's been stood up straight, how then should we think about this? Well, I don't make any apology for turning to the Bible. And do, because we do have some time in these days, perhaps dust down Mark chapter 16 and a few verses 1 through 8. It's very simple. At one level, it won't satisfy you because you will want to know more. And it seems that it's half left undone. Maybe it is, because where are you in this story? So, the resurrection of Jesus. Christian faith says, the Bible says, that Jesus was laid in a fresh tomb. And a friend of his, Joseph, gave his tomb up to Jesus that his body might lay in it. And the evidence is, and we want evidence, faith always rests on fact. It's not limited to fact, but without fact there could never be faith. And so he's laid in a tomb, a dead Jesus from a cross, a large stone weighing several tons is placed across it, and the story is left hanging over at least a 24-hour period. And then on a Sunday morning, when particularly the women visit this tomb out of love, because love will do peculiar things to us. Love will take us beyond simple logic. Love will take us beyond the science. They will visit this tomb, the stone will be rolled away, and there's nobody in there. Now, historians attest to that. If we want to argue facts, then we argue against the fact of an empty tomb. Acknowledging that there's an empty tomb doesn't necessarily bring us to a place where we all agree, what does this mean? But what does this mean? What does this mean for you? And what does it mean for me? And this is something that takes a lot of unwrapping, hence 40 days of Easter. As you unwrap, ask yourself, why would I not choose to unwrap the resurrection, the standing up straight of Jesus? Perhaps you don't know that the facts are in. Perhaps you're not sure of what does resurrection mean. But at the heart of it, I want to ask you to consider one thing. If Jesus Christ is risen from the dead, then such requires a response. If. Consider it. And my suggestion to you is very simply this. If you want to stay as you are, please don't consider the resurrection, because you might find it to be true. And change is always painful. So here we are. I started in a leaders class and I couldn't point to the North Pole. Today, life is placed into the hands of the one who not only has come back from the dead, but has come back from the dead with a new body and a new life. We shall take that on in the future. I'm sure that there are many in local churches who would love to talk and to invite further consideration. Is Jesus risen from the dead? If so, so what? For me. God bless. Thanks for listening.